Good morning and welcome to Write with Rachel. I'm Rachel and I'll be your guide today. We're live today from my studio in San Diego, California, and I'm improvising everything as I go, including developing the prompt and writing alongside with you. If you're ready, go ahead and grab a journal, your computer, sketchpad, your favorite voice app, or whatever tools you prefer to express yourself. Today's prompt is Would You Rather? And for our Would You Rather prompt today, I've generated a list of words and their opposites. So these are verbs and their opposites. So to determine which pair we're going to be working with today, we're going to roll the dice. And let's see what number we'll get. We get the number 1. So the pair of words we're going to be working with today are gather and scatter. So, would you rather gather or would you rather scatter? So let's talk a little bit about what these words might mean. For gather, you could say maybe gathering together. For example, a group of people, you might say gather. Perhaps you can gather some flowers as you're walking through the countryside. For scatter, you could say perhaps you're going to scatter flower petals at a wedding. Or you could also tell people to scatter, which means to disperse them. Now let's look at some directions we could take these. Let's say that you decided to do creative writing prompt and you decided to do gather. Let's say you decide that you want to base this prompt on the Prince song and you are going to use his lyric, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." Perhaps this scene opens at a nightclub. People are dancing. You're out on the floor. Someone bumps into you. And you feel something in your hand. What is it? What did they just give you? Well, that's a good question. You can also say that these people at the club have gathered there to dance. Let's say that you want to use the word scatter in a creative writing prompt. You could say that you were babysitting for your friend, and all of a sudden you noticed that cats, one by one, were lining up in the front yard. Big ones, small ones, little ones, tall ones. And you couldn't believe it. Before you knew it, there were 100 cats. So you opened the door and you yelled, "Scatter!" But they didn't move. So what you did was, let's say that you want to go in a journaling direction. You could incorporate both of the words. You could say, would you rather gather or scatter? For example, when I was in high school, depending on my lunch period. There were times when I wanted to gather with my friends, and there were other times, unfortunately, when I would scatter across the road to the laundromat to buy a Kit Kat bar and a Diet Coke. So that's a way you could take it in a journaling direction. You could also talk about something that you gathered and maybe then you scattered. Maybe you gathered flower petals and then you scattered them at an event, maybe like a wedding. If you want to make a list, you could talk about 10 reasons why you would rather gather or scatter. You could talk about reasons or items that gather and scatter actually have in common, even though it seems like they might be opposites. And I always encourage you to consider the wild card option. The wild card option is your choice. Anything that you've thought about in terms of gather, scatter, or any of the other verbs or words on this sheet that gave you an idea. Would you rather accept or reject, arrive or depart, find or lose, buy or sell, remember or forget? As always, I encourage you to take the direction that feels the most interesting to you. In just a moment, I'm going to ring the bell to signal the beginning of my writing process. I'll start drafting my ideas and talk through them. You can join me now, or you can wait until I've written for about 5 minutes, and at that point, we'll have some silent writing time. If you're listening to the podcast version of this, I encourage you to take this time to make note of your ideas, jot them down, make a mental list, or speak them out loud. After our share time is up, I'll ring the bell to signify the end of our writing time. So if you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm starting this direction by thinking of people named Gather and Scatter. My parents were eccentric. They named us Gather and Scatter. With these unusual names, it seemed almost pre-written that we would live up to our name stakes. My sister was in gather. She was always collecting things, everything. When she was little, it was dolls, toys, books, stuffed animals. When she became a teenager, it was more of the same. It was lipstick, makeup, hair tools, clothing, gather, gather, gather. That's what gather did. Now that you know that she was in gather, you also know that I am scatter. And all of the gathering made me crazy. Our room was always a mess. There were always piles everywhere. And my parents said, just learn to live with it. But I just couldn't. With every new word, as I thought of it, I would go in and scatter it, scatter it all the way out of the house and into a place where I thought it might be more useful. Stuffed animals to a children's hospital, extra clothes to the Goodwill, lipstick, brand new in packages to the teenage girls getting ready for prom. It's not that bad, right? But there was a problem. For every gather, there was a scatter, followed by an even bigger gather. That's the 5 minutes of my draft. I am now going to write silently for about 5 minutes. If you haven't started writing, I encourage you to do so now. So if you're ready, let's begin.